Makes sense. One of the other things that, Kathy, you were talking about is in the B2B space specifically, that there just isn't as much data. Is that really more a question of what individual companies have to give up for the sort of collective good? And how do you make that case that people should share more, even if it feels like that's instinctually not right?
Well, I think in a B2B model, you have multiple entities that kind of own their own data, and then we are trying to access information about those people. When they interact with us, we can gain some, but there's a lot of other information about them that is kind of right there, and we'd love to get a piece of it. And you're seeing trends in the industry where that data is now a currency, that kind of everyone's onto it, that's a very high information value there. So that is changing the business dynamic a little bit. But there are also lots, as I mentioned before, lots of entities that kind of amass this data on behalf of the industry and then will kind of sell you different parts of the data. And there are a lot of limitations to accommodate for privacy and legal regulations and things like that. So it is, you have to kind of work within that. Getting back to some of the issues everyone talked about, okay, so then you have your data sources and you might have like 90% of data from one source and 80% from another and 40 from another, and you're trying to piece together this view of an actual person and their behavior and their interests and layer on how they engage with your content or your messages or whatever. So it just becomes complex and it makes the data less accessible. That's what we've experienced.
Yeah, and then I'll just add back to your other question about data privacy and trust. At our organization, we don't have a privacy officer, but we do have a data governance council in the technology organization. I think they kind of take the lead in ensuring that the right level of data and information is passed throughout the organization. So they are sort of like the watchdog, or at least the gatekeeper.
Just picking up on what you were talking about getting data from external sources and aggregating it. Again, because privacy is such a concern for us, often we do the same thing, get the data, but we self-censure ourselves that we don't even want to see that data. So what it forces us to do is actually, I think a good thing, is define the steps and define the process of what we want to do without digging into the data on an aggregate basis, but not getting down to the individual level. So we say, okay, here's the type of program we want to run, here's the parameters, here's how we want to do our segmentation, and then you, third party, go run these business rules for us and execute so that we aren't seeing that personal information.